continue to work with global partners to dismantle terrorist networks and ensure lasting peace and security across Nigeria.
Away from the judgment, the Taraba State Governor, Abukefas, has signed into law 2 executive bills aimed at empowering youth and fostering sporting excellence in the state. The bills are Sports Commission Establishment Law 2025 and the Taraba Youth Development Agency Law 2025. The law establishing Taraba State Youth Development Agency seeks to create a structured platform for tackling the challenges of youth in Taraba State. The law also sets to provide legal backing for designing and implementing youth-focused initiatives that will promote employment, skills acquisition, entrepreneurship, and empowerment. Similarly, the law establishing Taraba State Sports Commission aims to regulate sporting activities within the state for optimal benefits and to increase the physical, mental, social, and economic development of youth. Governor Skefas commended members of the State House of Assembly for their cooperation and commitment to the progress of the state. He emphasized that the partnership between the executive and the legislative arms was crucial for the growth of the state.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Are you a foreign national living in Nigeria with an expired visa? Don't panic. The Nigeria Immigration Service has introduced a special amnesty program just for you. You've overstayed your visa on arrival. Your single entry visa has expired. A comprehensive expatriate residence permit and automated card (SEPAC) is overdue by more than 30 days. This is an opportunity to regularize your stay without penalties. Hurry, as this grace period ends on 30th September 2025, and from October 1st, enforcement begins and violators will face immigration action. So don't wait until it's too late. This is more than a policy. It's a gesture of hope thanks to the thoughtful leadership of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu under the Renewed Hope agenda with the Midas touch of the Honorable Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, and Controller General of Nigeria Immigration Service, Kemi N. Nanda. Visit www.immigration.gov.ng or amnesty.immigration.gov.ng. Regularize your immigration status today. This message is from the Nigeria Immigration Service.
In the hearts of our nation, courage stands tall. The Nigerian Army is here, protecting us all. Through trials and challenges, our spirit won't sway. Together we rise, come what may. Listen closely, Nigerians, to the truth we uphold. Fabricated stories won't tarnish our gold. Dismissed and disgruntled, they spread lies and despair. But your Nigerian army is dedicated and fair. Every soldier, every officer stands for the right. With honor and integrity, we defend day and night. Your safety, our mission, our oath, we will fulfill. For Nigeria, we are steadfast, always ready, strong wills. Don't let the noise mislead you. Stay informed today. Trust your Nigerian army. We're here to stay. In unity we stand. Together we will thrive. For a prosperous Nigeria, we will always strive. Stand strong, stand proud. We believe in the army that safeguards our freedom to achieve. Together united, with strength as our guide, we will chase away shadows and falsehoods they hide. Nigerian Army, protecting lives, building trust.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Nigeria and Colombia have opened a new chapter in their diplomatic relations with commitments to strengthen economic, cultural, and political ties. The two countries signed a memorandum of understanding during a business meeting with the Vice President Kashim Shettima and his Colombian counterpart, Mrs. Francia Mkiz, who is in Nigeria on a 3-day working visit. State House correspondent Hamza Alkali has details.
Nigeria and Colombia established diplomatic relations 51 years ago. The partnership has since been anchored on diplomacy, shared economic interests, and more recently, renewed efforts to expand cooperation into development and cultural exchange. At the business meeting with the theme, Nigeria-Colombia Strategic Partnership for Inclusive Growth, the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Yusuf Tuga, and Colombia's Deputy Minister for Multilateral Affairs, Affairs, Mauricio Jaramillo signed the Memorandum of Understanding on behalf of both countries. Vice President Shettima emphasized that both nations, bound by shared history and challenges, must leverage their similarities and differences to unlock mutual prosperity. Highlighting the uncertainties of the global economy, the Vice President stressed the need for Nigeria and Colombia to reduce dependence on narrow export bases and build innovative partnerships.
This is a call to diversify our exports beyond crude oil, expanding into agriculture, minerals, and manufactured products. I believe that Colombia too is bound by the determination to expand its economy beyond the bounds of tariff barriers. Our two countries must seize this moment to engage in trade negotiations and agreements.
For the visiting Vice President of Colombia, Francia Marquez, the visit to Nigeria was strategic aimed at boosting collaboration across all areas of development. The Colombia's Deputy Minister for Multilateral Affairs, Mauricio Jaser, noted that Nigeria was a gateway to the African market, hence the importance of their engagement.
It is very important to explore the way to reinforce our partnership with Africa, and we know that Nigeria is given the best gateway in order to reinforce that cooperation, as Colombia must be the gateway in order for Nigeria to get into Latin American affairs.
The Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Dr. Jumoke Oduwole, assured the Colombian delegation that Nigeria was open for business, highlighting investment opportunities available across sectors.
Non-oil exports are now being led by cocoa, cashew, sesame, ginger, hibiscus, solid minerals, and services. Notably, hibiscus flower are already being exported from Nigeria to Colombia, along other cash crops.
The Colombian Vice President later paid a courtesy call on President Bola Tinubu from the presidential villa. Hamza Alkali, Radio Nigeria.
The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral Emmanuel Ogala, says Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, DEPOA, is a strategic partner in the armed forces operations. The Chief of Naval Staff stated this when members of the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, led by its president, paid him a visit at the naval headquarters in Abuja. Vice Admiral Ogala explained that the concept of modern security now evolves and the entire society, and that has a collective responsibility to secure the areas. Pointed out that the association has been playing such role with the support they were giving to the armed forces and the police.
We also thought of military operations because while we conduct our activities in the field, we are always there to provide what is lacking at the home front. So we do not lose anything while we are operating. So I consider NAPOA as very important strategic elements of our operation.
He said he was happy that the DEPOA was considering giving scholarships to the children of the fallen heroes and also initiating sports competition to foster peace and unity, and pledged the naval headquarters support to achieve its noble objective. The President of Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association, Mrs. Ogwogo Musa, told the Chief of Naval Staff that they were at the naval headquarters as part of their thank you visit to the troop, that is to thank you to the troops campaign to appreciate the gallantry efforts, sacrifices, and patriotism of the armed forces and the police in securing the country and its territorial integrity. Mrs. Ogwogo Musa said, paid tribute to the memories of the fallen heroes who sacrificed their lives for the peace and unity of the country.
This campaign was inspired by the countless stories of bravery we encountered daily. The sailor who spent months away at sea to protect our coasts, the officers and men who faced the danger of illegal oil bunkering, and the families who silently bear the weight of absence and sacrifice.
She also intimated the Chief of Naval Staff that the Defense and Police Officers' Wives Association also plans to commence inter-secondary school sports competition to bolster unity and promote excellence in character and talent molding.
To health matters now, the federal government has unveiled plans to expand health insurance, boost sector investment, tighten regulations to reduce the burden of out-of-pocket spending, and ensure universal access to quality healthcare for all Nigerians. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Mohammed Pati, made this known in Abuja during the National Dialogue on Health Financing with the theme, Reimagining the Future of Health Financing in Nigeria. Ifeoma Nwuvu completes the story.
In this country is mostly for government workers. We are setting jobs that are quite unaffordable, but at the same time the insurance is not covering it.
Sometimes I use it, so it's actually false because they have to subsidize the price of my bills.
Opinions of some Nigerians on National Health Insurance Scheme. The Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare through the National Health Insurance Authority, NHIA, convened the 4-day dialogue which brought together senior government officials, policymakers, development partners, civil society, academia, and the private sector to chart a clear path towards stronger and more resilient health financing systems. The dialogue also aims to review findings from the State of Health Financing Report, build consensus feasible strategies to expand and sustain domestic health financing. The Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Professor Ali Pate, said Nigeria currently spends about $120 per person on health, with 2/3 coming from out-of-pocket payments. Professor Pate, who stressed that Nigeria must increase domestic investment in health, stated that the country cannot continue to rely on foreign aid to strengthen its healthcare system.
We have to find ways to increasingly invest our own resources because health, whether it's produced, it's not cheap. Somebody has to pay for it. That illusion that you can actually get good quality health system without paying for it is foolish.
The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Isiaq Salako, said plans were underway to enroll at least 44 million Nigerians into the National Health Insurance Scheme by 2030 as part of efforts to expand financial protection.
The ministry is already examining the possibility of approaching the National Assembly to increase the allocation of EHCF from the current 1% of consolidated revenue to at least 2%.
The Director General of the National Health Insurance Authority, Dr. Kelechi Lohiri, noted that the dialogue was a reflection of the shifting global health financing landscape and will unlock private sector participation, deepen sub-national involvement, and strengthen partnerships.
We are going through a demographic transition, and to actually tap into that demographic dividend, we need to invest significantly in health and education. Nigeria, in recognition of these changes, played a key role in the adoption of the landmark WHO resolution on strengthening health financing globally.
The representative of the World Health Organization, Dr. Francis Ukwuje, said social accountability was crucial to strengthen health system and ensure resources reach frontline services. In Abuja, Ifeoma Nwuvu, Radio Nigeria.
Meanwhile, beneficiaries of federal government's free medical treatment for pregnant women with complications during childbirth, including cesarean section, have called for the sustenance of the policy to reduce maternal morbidity and mortality in the country. In this special report, correspondent Simon Iduma gathered that over 1,000 pregnant women have so far benefited from the gesture in Ebonyi State.
In the first quarter of this year, the federal government declared treatment for pregnant women with complications, including cesarean sections, free. To ensure the success of the policy, the government enlisted 154 tertiary and secondary healthcare facilities across the country for easy access by patients and effective implementation. In Ebonyi State, 6 hospitals were enlisted to render the healthcare service. They are the National Obstetric Fistula Center, NOFIC, and Alex Ekweme Federal University Teaching Hospital, all in Abakaliki, as well as David Umahi Federal University Teaching Hospital, Uburu. Others are St. Patrick's Maifor Hospital, Abakaliki, General Hospital, Onweke, and General Hospital, Eda. Those eligible for the medical intervention are women who have health problems or difficulties that arise during pregnancy, labor, delivery, or the postpartum period, potentially affecting the mother's or baby's well-being. Findings by Radio Nigeria show that over 1,000 women who fall into the category have benefited from the free healthcare service in Norfolk, Abakaliki alone between February and August this year. Some of the beneficiaries, Mrs. Helen Samwanko and Blessing Woke, told Radio Nigeria on their hospital beds that they were overwhelmed with joy and described the initiative as life-saving intervention.
When I do this, you can barely find things like this. I'm so excited to be a beneficiary. I pray that God will use government to do more good work.
Mrs. Mamaka Obasi and Mrs. Messiazi called for the sustenance of the policy to save more lives and alleviate the sufferings of the citizens.
Very grateful and thankful for the federal government. May they continuously be doing it.
God should bless them for helping us. I really appreciate federal government.
Dr. Chidube Muswab is the acting head of clinical services and coordinator of the program in National Obstetric Fistula Center, Norfolk, Abakaliki.
Center is one of the centers we started February this year, and since the commencement of this program, so many women have been saved. Women that would have died patients probably in their villages because of complications and because they don't have money to come to hospital.
Dr. Shuabu noted that the management of the hospital had ensured availability of drugs, personnel, and materials needed to deliver quality health care to the patients. The matron of the hospital, Mrs. Afunaya Benibian, called on pregnant women in Ebonyi State to register for antenatal care and take advantage of the initiative to save them from avoidable morbidity. Other respondents appealed to the federal government to expand the service to include care for the newborn and the indigent women who had no complications. In Abakaliki, Simon Iduma, Radio Nigeria.
Renal failure remains one of the most serious health challenges affecting thousands of Nigerians, and for many patients, the financial burden associated with daily dialysis has long stood as a barrier to accessing quality healthcare, leaving families with no option but to watch as their loved ones' conditions deteriorate, while often with fatal consequences. Against this backdrop and background, correspondent Khadija Aliyu visited the Amuludun Teaching Hospital to examine the implementation of the subsidized dialysis program introduced under the federal government's Renewed Hope agenda.
To cushion the financial burden on patients, the federal government under President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's Renewed Hope agenda rolled out a subsidized dialysis program, reducing the cost of treatment from 50,000, 60,000 to 12,000 per session. The intervention, which is part of broader health reforms, also includes the Basic Healthcare Provision Fund and the National Emergency Medical Services and Ambulance Scheme, designed to provide free 48-hour emergency services for accident, gunshot, and other critical cases. During a visit to the Amuludun Teaching Hospital Dialysis Center, kidney patients expressed relief over the subsidy. A patient, Salihu Ahmed Bukawiya, recalled paying between 54,000 and 60,000 per dialysis session before the intervention. He said the cost later dropped to 20,000 and now stands at 12,000 naira. Another patient, Awal Abdullahi Aliyu from Gwali, said the reduction from 60,000 to 12,000 per session has been life-saving. Halima Abubakar, also undergoing dialysis, confirmed that she previously paid 60,000 for the current 12,000 naira rate.
In the past, we paid about 60,000 per dialysis session. The price was later reduced to 20,000 and now stands at just 12,000 naira.
We are paying 55,000. The price was reduced to 45,000 and now 12,000. All three patients appreciated the federal government's intervention but appealed for complete removal of dialysis costs to further ease their burden. The Deputy Director of Nursing Services at Amuludun Teaching Hospital, Tijani Rahim, who doubles as head of the dialysis unit, noted that the subsidy has led to a significant increase in patient turnout.
Presently, as at the last count I have, we have about 239 patients we are dialyzing, and then the session of dialysis has increased. Previously, we do have session of 10 to 16 patients, but now our session has increased per day to about 25, 22.
During the launch of the NEMSAS scheme at the hospital, the Chief Medical Director, Professor Abdurrahman Abashishi, confirmed that the subsidized dialysis program has already commenced at the hospital.
Presently in Amuludun Teaching Hospital, we have consumables that we can use for at least 1,000 people.
He appealed for urgent support from the Federal Ministry of Health and Social Welfare as well as from philanthropists to sustain the program. On 21st August 2025, federal government approved a new subsidy scheme to reduce the cost of dialysis across 11 federal tertiary health institutions spread across Nigeria's 6 geopolitical zones. In Kano, Khadija Aliyu, Radio Nigeria.
It's already 26 minutes past 7. You're listening to the news on the network service of Radio Nigeria. In the headlines this morning, President Bola Tinubu has reaffirmed commitment to collaborate with global community. Nigeria and Colombia have strengthened diplomatic ties. Federal government is to expand health insurance to cover all citizens. Still to come, Institute to train over 1 million Nigerians on peace building, plus sports, commentary, cyberscope, newspaper headlines, and weather report. Stay with us.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Nigeria Network News, innovating for the listening pleasure of our audiences.
As from Monday, 8th of September at noon, Grassroots Nigeria will debut, bringing voices from the 774 local government areas in real life, where the roads may be rough, but the stories are rich.
Grassroots Nigeria will feature reports from cities to towns, villages and hamlets.
Radio Nigeria Network News, taking the microphone to the nooks and crannies of the country, X-raying developments at the rural communities.
The Minister of FCT recommended Kagini building schools upstairs, original city light for our hospital, so our doctors are not crying.
Things are very scarce in the market.
That maternity is outdated. Even electricity is not available in that hospital.
Tune in to the network service at noon, Mondays to Fridays for Grassroots Nigeria.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Health is in our hands. We all have a part to play. It's time to get informed. Take care from the start. Did you know HIV/AIDS, syphilis and hepatitis are preventable, treatable, and no longer a death sentence? Knowledge is power. You can live a productive and good life. Test, treat, and get the help you need. HIV can be managed with treatments. Syphilis is curable with antibiotics, and hepatitis can be prevented with a vaccine. Regular testing is key to staying safe. Together, we can stop the spread of HIV/AIDS, syphilis, and hepatitis. Prevention is key. Get tested today. HIV/AIDS is not a death sentence. Awareness saves lives. Visit the nearest public health facility today. This message is from the First Lady of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Senator Oluremi Tinubu, CON.
Attention Nigeria, the Corps Marshal Federal Road Safety Corps, Shehu Mohammed MNI, cordially invites you to the Corps' 5th Annual Lecture Series on 3rd September 2025 at the Banquet Hall, Presidential Villa, Abuja. Time 10 a.m. prompt. Theme, Road Safety Management and Emerging Transportation Trends, Global Partnership for Optimal Performance. Guest Lecturer, Mr. Saul Billingsley, Director, Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, FRA Foundation, London. Special Guest of Honor, His Excellency Hashim Shettima, GCON, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Chief Host, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, His Excellency Senator George Akume, CON. Royal Father of the Day, Emir of Zazzau, Ambassador Ahmed Duhuba Mali, CFR. Be there, add your voice, help shape the journey ahead, because when roads are safe, the future is bright. Federal Road Safety Corps, creating a safe motoring environment in Nigeria.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
Thank you for staying with us. The Edo State Governor, Monday Okpewolo, has intensified pressure on contractors handling critical road projects across the state, insisting on the delivery of durable infrastructure that reflects value for taxpayers' money. Governor Okpewolo, during the weekend, proceeded an inspection of various projects in Edo Central and Edo South to assess the quality of the projects. Inupo Ofuni has details.
Among the projects visited in Edo Central is the 9.3-kilometer Ile Ukon Road in Esan West, which is nearing completion with drainage already installed, some sections asphalted, and others prepared with stone base for final surfacing. In Benin, the governor made a stop at Saple Road, starting from Moscow Junction, and walked on foot through Moscow, Limit, PZ, Ajib, Okebere, Winners, and Peanut Junction, before ending at the Old Road. The inspection focused on drainage system, the quality of materials used, and the solidity of the road foundation. Residents, motorists, and traders lining the stretch cheered as the governor mingled with them, many expressing gratitude for his intervention in reconstructing the long-neglected route.
We celebrate
Governor Okpolo during the tour reaffirmed his administration's resolve to enforce accountability and efficiency in project execution.
I'm happy now that a lot of improvements and they are trying now. I've gone to the other side in Sapphire Road. A lot has also been achieved within a short time. I didn't expect that they will get to this point. I just pray that the contractor will continue in this spirit.
The contractor handling this section the governor had threatened to revoke 2 weeks ago for poor performance, Ubani Stanley, admitted that the governor's strict stance had pushed the team to improve both the quality and pace of work.
We are really working for the progress of the job to be completed as when due. We are really at our pace to give you the results.
Governor Moniya emphasized that road construction remained a critical part of his administration's SHINE agenda, assuring residents that more interventions would follow in other parts of the state to open up communities, ease mobility, and stimulate economic activities. In Benin, Inope Ofueni, Radio Nigeria.
The Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, Nigeria Television Authority, NTA, and the Voice of Nigeria, VON, have been praised for sustaining the FRCN NTA VON annual service of 9 lessons and carols, which brings Christians across denominations together in worship. The General Overseer of All Christian Fellowship Mission, Reverend William Okoye, gave the commendation when the 2025 Planning Committee of the program paid him the council visit in Abuja. The clergyman commended the public media organizations for their continued impact on the spiritual and national well-being of Nigerians.
I thank God that you've continued without breaking, and I pray we are not going to stop anytime soon. May God continue to bless your institutions, the NTA, the FRCN, the Voice of Nigeria, as you continue to sow seeds in the life of people and nation.
The coordinator of the planning committee and director of programs at FRCN, Nsushima Ki, who delivered the greetings of the 3 director generals, explained that the theme of the 2025 service of 9 lessons and carols, Jesus Our Strength, was chosen to inspire hope among Nigerians.
The theme for this year is Jesus Our Strength, and it's taken from Philippians 4 chapter 13. Because of the happenings in the country, we want Nigerians to be encouraged. They should draw their strength in Jesus Christ.
Highlight of the event was the presentation of a plaque to Reverend Okoye, congratulating him on the 50th anniversary of his church. Reverend William Okoye will also serve as a guest preacher at the FRCN NTA Bond 2025 service of 9 lessons and carols, scheduled for 7th December at the National Christian Center, Abuja.
The Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution is targeting 1 million Nigerians for training on peace initiatives to help actualize the aspirations of the present administration. The Director General of the Institute, Dr. Joseph Ochogu, gave the indication on Eagle Square, a Radio Nigeria public accountability program. To complement the efforts of the Institute, Dr. Ochogu advocated peace-building mechanisms and effective service delivery at the sub-national level.
We and other partners have been advocating sub-national level peace-building development agencies. We are actually amplifying and advocating that state governments should take ownership of some of these agencies, not only that they create them, but they also resource them to be able to help them to prevent conflicts from escalating into violence. Resolving crisis is the deployment, service delivery. Service delivery is number 1 conflict resolution mechanism, because as you are delivering service to the people feel a sense of inclusion in the system.
Dr. Ochogu believed that the farmer herder crisis have been politicized, making criminal elements to take advantage and perpetrate their evil intentions.
Farmer herders have been in resistance in the last over a century, and they've been farming alongside. The farmer needs the herder needs the farmer in terms of their crop residues, in terms of the manure that these things bring. And there are traditional conflict resolution mechanisms that have existed between farmers and herders over the years. So the point is that what has changed, and I think that this is where the issues now come, increasingly from my research, is the increasing criminalization of the farmer-herder relation.
The Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution also appealed for adequate funding for effective service delivery.
Moving on, the Nigerian Copyright Commission and the World Intellectual Property Organization are to introduce a co-administered alternative dispute resolution program to solve more local disputes, which will be resolved through mediation. The initiative is designed to achieve fair, speedy, and business-friendly outcomes in copyright disputes while reducing the heavy reliance on litigation. The Director General of the Nigeria Copyright Commission, Dr. John Asian, made this morning in Abuja during a webinar meeting on the need for alternative dispute resolution in the field of intellectual property in Abuja. Dr. Asian stressed the importance of embracing the nation's creative sector for peaceful coexistence, noting that traditional litigation often undermines business relationships and is riddled with delays, faulty conclusions, and interlocutory orders that leave parties dissatisfied. The head of the Business Development and Digital Content Dispute Section at the WIPO Arbitration and Mediation Center, Landro Toscano, explained that the co-administration project will operate with technical and capacity building support from WIPO and the government of South Korea. This is said will enable the NCC to train staff and other professionals to serve as mediators under the new scheme.
The National Orientation Agency, NOA, is to commence sensitization of the people of Benue State this week to acquaint residents with federal government policies, programs, and activities. The Director General of the agency, Malam Larry Issa Onilu, made this known in Makurdi during an interface with media community in the state. Emmanuel Gwaza brings us details.
Represented by the Director of Administration and Accounts, Suleiman Haruna, the NOA Director General explained that the agency would be physically engaging the public through town hall meetings, advocacy visits, visitation to schools, traditional leaders, motor parks, and marketplaces to enable the people to speak their minds, ask questions, and get answers on government's programs. According to Malam Issa Onilu, the federal government has made notable achievements as evidenced in the student loan to guarantee access to education by indigent students, pointing out that over 600,000 have been onboarded with over 59 billion naira so far disbursed. He maintained that social safety nets expansion, renewed hope infrastructure fund, national youth investment fund, and national security awareness are among the numerous achievements of the Tinubu administration, while there are plans for national values reorientation to focus on national values and campaigns that are against extreme graduation practices which do not align with accepted values.
NOA is one organization that speaks all the languages. Our community orientation and mobilization officers are from the same community where they reside, and so it is easier for them to get the message across to the people.
The NOA Director General added that there would also be a Nigerian identity and national symbol sensitization which would focus on campaigns aimed at familiarizing the public with the current national anthem, unity and patriotism campaigns to promote adherence to right attitude towards national symbols, as well as the Nigerian passport. NOA Director in charge of the North Central, Dr. Priscilla Gondo Alo, acknowledged the media for being present at the interface and expressed hope that the message would be disseminated to a large audience to keep them abreast of activities of the current administration.
This administration is intervening through methods generally goes in education and government policies.
The Benue State Director of National Orientation Agency, Mark Dewua, assured that the agency would continue to partner the media to assist in availing the public federal government's modest effort in making life better for its citizens. From Makurdi, Emmanuel Gwaza, Radio Nigeria.
Radio Nigeria, uplifting the people and uniting the nation.
President Bola Tinubu has commiserated with the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Nyesom Wike, over the passing of Mrs. Grace Adailo, the pioneer head of service of the Federal Capital Territory Administration, that is FCTA. The President also extended his sympathies to the children, family, and loved ones of late Mrs. Adailo and the FCTA's management and staff. A dedicated public servant, she previously served as Education Secretary of the Abuja Municipal Area Council, AMAC, and later appointed as the first FCT head of service following President Tinubu's approval. President Tinubu praised for the peaceful repose of Mrs. Adailo's soul and wishes her family, friends, and colleagues the fortitude to bear the irreparable loss.
Next is sports.
Nigeria's World Cup qualifying camp officially opened yesterday in Uyo, with Super Eagles captain William Troost-Ekong among the first players to report. The Al Kulun defender was joined by Tanzania-based goalkeeper Amas Obasoge and Olympiacos fullback Bruno Onyemaechi. The trio arrived ahead of this month's decisive fixtures against Rwanda and South Africa, with the remainder of the 23-man squad expected. Several players could be late due to transfer dealings. Samuel Chukwueze left AC Milan to John Fulham. Tolu Arokubare sealed a move from Genk to Wolverhampton Wanderers, while Victor Boniface signed a loan deal with Werder Bremen. Nigeria's base will be the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, where they take on Rwanda on September 6. Victor Osimhen scored both goals in a 2-0 win when the sides last met in March, and his return is expected to provide a vital lift for a team under pressure. A 77th minute header from Samson Olasupo gave defending champions Ramo Stars their first win of the season as they saw off Kun Khalifat 2-1 at the Enyimba International Stadium in Aba yesterday to wrap up match day 2 of the 2025-26 Nigeria Professional Football League. Kun Khalifat led in the first half when Henry Ezunye scored from the spot in the 15th minute, but the Sky Blues from Ikene leveled in the 69th minute through Abubakar Ibrahim before Olasupo scored the winner. The result has taken Remo to 4th position on the table from 12th with 4 points, while Kun Khalifat dropped 1 spot to 14th with just a point from 2 games. Bayelsa Queens will today face USFA of Burkina Faso in one of the semi-finals of the WAFO B qualifying for the CAF Women's Champions League. The Prosperity Girls finished top of Group B following a 4-1 thumping of Samneli of Benin Republic on Sunday. It was a brilliant team performance by the Nigerian Queens, crowned by 2 stunning strikes from Simeyeha Akekoromowe, who was voted player of the game. The Burkinabe side finished in 2nd position in Group A behind ASEC Mimosas of Cote d'Ivoire to progress to the last 4. ASEC and Police Ladies of Ghana will clash in the 2nd semi-final. The championship will conclude on September 4 with winners advancing to the Women's CAF Champions League. We move on to athletics, where ahead of today's track and field event at the ongoing 9th National Youth Games at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba, coaches of some of the teams have been putting finishing touches to the training of their athletes. Correspondent Friday Joshua, who filed in this report, said he cited some athletes, mainly from Edo and Niger states, concluding their drills in readiness for the crown pulling event. Some of them who spoke to Radio Nigeria Sports said they have benefited immensely from the workout sessions and are in good shape to deliver podium performances for themselves and their respective states.
I'm Abakar Rabi Tanini from Niger State. I'm running 400, 800 meters. I'm ready for my events, prepared based on my training. I wish to deliver 2 gold medals going for my coach. That's what I promised to him. I'm running 400, 800. I'm very prepared. I'm okay. My event is 100 and 200. I'm waiting for the day that we participate. I'm expecting a good medal, like from 100 meter first, from 200 meter first.
Head coach of Team Edo Track and Field, Abdul Mustafa, who has 28 athletes for the event, also expressed optimism that his athletes have prepared well and are ready to write their names in gold.
I'm expecting like 10 goals for the track and field. The advice I'm having today, you have to take it easy. Any medal you win is a medal. It's to prepare you for the next level for the game. Because some of them, this is their first time. So I told them that just try your best. Anything that come out of it, we're going back to our drawing board to work harder for the next one.
Coach Wasiu thanked Governor Monday Okpebolo and Chairman of the Edo State Sports Commission, Mrs. Sabina Chikere, for giving the athletes and technical officials all the financial and moral support needed for them to emerge overall winners of the 9th edition. And on the international scene, the summer transfer window closed yesterday with some big signings, and as a press time, Liverpool has agreed a British record £125 million fee with Newcastle to sign Alexander Isak. Newcastle also sealed a £55 million deal for Brentford forward Yohan Wissa, as Spurs took Paris Saint-Germain striker Randall Kolo-Muani on loan. Arsenal also signed defender Piero Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen on a season-long loan with an option to buy, having agreed a fee of £45 million. Chelsea also agreed an improved package for striker Nicholas Jackson to join Bayern Munich, and after an on-off transfer saga, the 24-year-old is set to complete an initial loan move for £14.3 million, which crucially includes a mandatory obligation to buy for £56.2 million through a minimum number of appearances. However, Liverpool's move to sign Crystal Palace defender Mark Brady fell through, with Palace refusing to sanction the transfer as they faced difficulties in sorting a replacement, with target Igor Julian opting for a move to West Ham. And that's sports news. I'm Annabelle Okweri.
We'll now bring you the commentary, which is on addressing the running rate of excessive pressure on young Nigerians to excel. It is written by Obumeme Ukeji of our reportorial unit.
The World Health Organization, WHO, and the United Nations define adolescents as individuals aged 10 to 19 and youth as those aged 15 to 24. This means young people cover the age range between 10 and 24. The primary responsibilities of these young ones should include completing homework, taking care of personal belongings, being capable of watching younger siblings, and being held accountable for their actions. Accountability can be instilled by applying age-appropriate discipline when necessary. On the other hand, the responsibilities of parents and guardians include, but are not limited to, providing proper guidance, instilling the knowledge of right and wrong, showing unconditional and selfless love, offering moral and emotional support, and ensuring quality education. Parents should make children feel safe and loved, teach them to accept both success and failure, help them discover their strength, and remind them that while no one leads everywhere, everyone can be a leader somewhere. Sadly, these roles are often switched or neglected. Many parents and society at large place excessive pressure on young people to excel academically, forgetting that not everyone must or can attain academic excellence to succeed in life. Some parents even pay for their children to be placed in classes that are not age appropriate. This can produce young adults who are unable to embrace, address, or confront life's realities affecting both their personal growth and national development. Peer pressure and societal expectations also worsens the situation, sometimes driving young people into depression or even suicide in the relentless pursuit of academic excellence. In some cases, parents abdicate their responsibilities entirely, pushing their children into adult roles far too soon. While it is true that some parents are forced by circumstances beyond their control to rely on their children, in many cases, parents take advantage of them, comparing them with their peers, cursing them when they refuse to provide, or even encouraging them into crime to make quick money. Alarming examples abound. In January 2022, a woman in Lagos was arrested with her son for allegedly encouraging him to kill his younger brother for ritual purposes so he could provide for the family. The 32-year-old man confessed his mother had taken him to a herbalist who demanded a life. Similarly, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTEP, has uncovered places where girls were kept to become pregnant, after which their babies were sold. One victim revealed that her mother and elder sister had brought her there in exchange for money. Some parents also send underage children to work as domestic staff, keeping their salaries to care for other children at home. These disturbing cases highlight a troubling truth. Some parents see their children as financial solutions rather than human beings in need of care and guidance. Addressing these challenges requires a collective effort. Society must discard its shallow perception of success, which has driven many young people to untimely deaths. Just as other countries emphasize skill acquisition for youths, the Nigerian government has introduced skill acquisition programs into the primary and junior secondary school curriculum. Though implementation remains incomplete, full adoption could reduce overdependence on academic certificates as a sole measure of success. Parents must understand that it is their sole responsibility to provide for their children. This calls for proper family planning and ensuring they only have as many children as they can cater for without exposing them to harm. They should foster open communication with their children, shun greed and covetousness, and actively encourage skill acquisition alongside formal education. Above all, parents should allow children to be children, shielding them from unnecessary pressures and giving them the freedom to grow into well-rounded, capable adults.
That commentary on addressing the alarming rate of excessive pressure on young Nigerians to excel was written by Moniya and read by Fubara People.
Next is Cyberscope, and this will bring you top trends shaping conversations across Nigeria's social media space. The Finnish courts When they pronounced its 6-year sentence against Simon Ekpa, the self-proclaimed Prime Minister of the Biafra government in exile, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. Within hours, Simon Ekpa, the hashtag, shot to the top of trending charts across Nigeria and beyond. Well, it's still trending, and a lot going on social media.
Yes, that's the hot news of the moment. Football fans have set the internet abuzz following Barcelona's 1-1 stalemate with Rayo Vallecano. The result has sparked more than just La Liga headlines as it ignited a full on meme and troll frenzy across social media. With the hashtag #flick trending, fans turned the German's boss 10 message, "No time for selfishness," into a footballing saga of meme and roast. A viral post show a Barca player frozen with the caption, "When coach bans selfishness, but nobody knows who should shoot." That's what is making very hot news now regarding the match between Barca and the other team.
Well, I leave the sports for you because hey, I protect my heart. Meanwhile, just when we thought airport shenanigans had peaked, the internet swooped in with another viral spectacle. A video has emerged from Enugu showing a passenger being dramatically dragged by ground staff across the tarmac, and hashtags like Quam3 have found a new destination. In the footage making rounds, a visibly flustered passenger is seen in mid-drag by ground handlers and tarmac dust raising behind them. Social media responded predictably with unfiltered humor and memes. Finally, a wave of shock and confusion swept across social media last night as the hashtag Sanku skyrocketed to the top of trending topics following unverified reports claiming the content creator, Mr. Sanku, had died in a car accident. But despite no confirmation yet from Mr. Sanku's official channel or any mainstream news outlet, countless fans flooded platforms like X, TikTok, and Instagram with heated speculations, tributes, and the kind of dark humor that often emerges in digital spaces during such moments.
Yes, that's a wrap for Cyberscope today, and we urge you to keep the conversation going. Connect with us at Radio Nigeria using the hashtag #Cyberscope, and today's package was compiled by Shay Ajibade. And from there, we now go to our newspaper headlines. Let's see what the papers are saying this morning. We begin with the Nation. Okay, the Nation has this bold headline: Obis return to run in 2027 will kill PDP, says Wike. Comeback by him can't happen. Beware of hypocrites, Minister cautions Jonathan. And then we also have this: federal government has 6 years jail for terrorist EPA in Finland. You may check details on page 2. Ex-IGRSA flown back from Morocco in coma. You may want to read the details on page 2 also. And then Tinubu reaffirms oath to serve fairly. Also page 2 has, and page 8 has those stories.
Vanguard is next. The banner headline here says, Jonathan to Kiyamo Odinkalo, keep off my political journey. Says, keep off my political journey. I don't need your counsel. Jonathan 100% qualified for raise, says Azibaula, ex-president's cousin. He's being deceived, fielding Obi's spell doom for PDP. Wike speaking there. And power-hungry politicians seeking to remove Tinubu presidency. Rivers LG poll, Obi Labour Party condemn election, go to court. RESEC tells aggrieved parties. Empowerment of bandits, federal government tackles El-Rufai, says claim is baseless. Terrorism, EPA's conviction in Finland excites federal government, CDS, and others. We will take further action against EPA, AGF, and our courts should learn. Expedite hearing of terrorism cases, NBA. That's on page 11 of the Vanguard newspaper.
Okay, now we see, let's check what the Daily Sun is saying. Again, IPOD disowns Simon Ekpa after 6 years jail term in Finland. The federal government has conviction of the Biafra government in exile leader. Page 4 has the details. And then police arrest 107 suspected criminals in Kano. Recover 128 live cartridges, guns in Cross Rivers. Page 5 contains that detail. Wike stands against Jonathan will be in PDP. Reject ex-president contesting 2027 presidential election. Kicks against Obi's imminent to come back in opposition party. You want to pick Delison to read all these details.
Leadership is next. Governor Sani accuses El-Rufai of plot to destabilize Kaduna State. That story is on page 33. Ribadu dismisses El-Rufai's claim, says no ransom payment. And federal government hails Finland over ECOWAS conviction. NUPRC signs production sharing contract with NNPCL, Total Energies and separate tool. Those you find on the leadership in the leadership newspaper this morning. Well, that's it for newspaper headlines. So move on to the weather report for today.